Good morning, everybody. We are back. It is the Rightside of Campus podcast, and we are live here on a Friday, August 10th, 2018. I'm your host, the big man on campus, here getting you ready as we head into another weekend closer to football. Lot to do today. We'll get into the baseball card, that and more. We'll take a look at last night's a couple preseason action. A lot of interesting things are on there. A couple preseason games tonight. Got all sorts of stuff to get into today. We'll get into that and more. Hope you had a great Thursday evening. My co-host is running a little behind here. He's got a little computer issue. Hopefully he'll join in a little bit. Make sure if you're out there, you are hitting the like button. Make sure you always do that whenever you join the show. It's a great way for us here to get a good find on what and who was listening. Also, retweet the show. It's a great way to get it out to people that might not see it on a regular basis. So make sure you're retweeting the show now. That's a good way to help us out as well. Uh, so yeah, hope everyone enjoyed everything last night. I know people were excited that football was back. It was nice to watch a little Eagles football here on the channels around here. Eagles didn't win, but who cares who wins or loses in preseason? It's really just about development, making sure people are not getting injured, and we can kind of focus on that. But other than that, it was a good night. Baseball is interesting as always. I think people are winning, people are losing. You look at last night, it was kind of interesting between both sports, between the NFL and between baseball, overs were 17, 3, and 1. So if you were an over player last night, you made a lot of money between the two sports. Books, I'd imagine, got hurt with that one. Generally, public bettors are over bettors. 17 out of the 21 games between the NFL and MLB went over the number. So there you go. You'd have to figure that will even out at some point. But we get into the show here. We cannot just talk about nothing forever. We'll get Donnie Rightside, to join us whenever he can. Let's start it out here with where are we going to start it out here with? Let's start it out with Felix Hernandez moved to the bullpen. You got to feel bad for Felix. I mean, he's obviously towards the end of his career. 398 starts in Seattle, but again, you got to make the painful decision sometimes to move someone back. He's been struggling. He's not had a good year. He's got an ERA close to 6. He's off a game where he gave up 7 earned runs. I mean, 2 of his last 3 games have seen 7 or more runs given up by him. So again, I mean, it's a move you have to make. Unfortunately, it's not something you want to do. He's given a lot to your franchise, but a business is business. You cannot continue to throw him out there. Throw him in a bullpen role. Give him a role that's obviously going to be less desirable by him, but it's going to help your team. He's still involved. Felix at 32 years old. You have to thought he'd be older than that. It seems like he's been in the MLB forever, but Felix heading to the bullpen for a new journey. And look, last night, big win for Seattle. Finally get behind a win, and they have been, kind of floundering lately. So you got to shake things up a little bit. Felix headed down to the bullpen. Um, Fernando Rodney headed to the Oakland Athletics. They just keep making moves. Do the Oakland Athletics? Oakland ready to compete? Obviously, they're in a pennant race right now. They're looking to get into playoff spot, and it's all about strengthening that back end of the bullpen. You can never have enough arms in that bullpen, and you have Blake Trinan, you have Familia. You got to wonder where Rodney fits. We've seen this a lot where teams have, a closer or two already, and they add another one. But I guess you'll, move guys around back there and really kind of strengthen a bullpen that over the last few years hasn't been particularly good. You add Rodney, now you all of a sudden have some real continued stability back there. So a move made that maybe we don't understand, but look, now you have plenty of arms in a bullpen for what it's worth. Um, Football, a lot of football last night. Obviously, before the game started, Cam and Kelvin Benjamin meet in the center of the field. And look, I got to tell you, I said this last night. I'll say it again. whether I agree with this fight or not, Cam Newton is a corny dude. He always has been. He always will be. Um, you know, here's the thing with Cam. So you go out and say you don't care about this. You're not going to respond. You're not going to get into it with anybody. Yeah, you go out and get into it with somebody. Listen, do we like what Calvin said? No. Um, do we agree with it? Probably not. I'm not a big Cam Newton fan. I don't think he's had a few good years. He's had a good, moderately good years. He's been okay. Um, do I have an issue with him going out and approaching Kelvin? No, but the way he did it, it was like in the middle of the field. Everybody was looking at it. He wanted to make a spectacle. I just think he's a corny guy. I think he always has been. I'm not saying Kelvin wasn't out of line, kind of bringing that up, but I think he's a corny dude. I don't understand what there's not to understand. It has nothing to do with the fact that the way he handled himself. I just think he's a corny guy in general. There's nothing to not understand about it, Guan. I mean, I don't have an issue with if you want to go out and approach a dude like that. First of all, you're in the NFL. This guy actually is in Fight Club. Just let it alone. You said you weren't going to say anything about it, so don't say anything about it. By him doing that shows that he does care about it, and that's exactly what Calvin wanted. So, I mean, he can go out and do what he wants, but at the end of the day, he's a corny guy. We all know it. What do we got here? Donnie.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What's up, man?
There we go. Through another Skype update. Now I hear you chiming in on that Cam Newton thing. One thing that, they once were good friends, one would think, right? With being a quarterback and a wide receiver on the same football team. They both have each other's numbers. When he spouted off at the mouth, Kelvin Benjamin, one would have thought that Cam would have picked up the phone or sent a few texts saying, you better pick up your phone right now so I can, have at it with you and let you know. Or if you get to Buffalo, there's 2 locker rooms there, Jeff. There's a lot of non-camera situations under the locker rooms where maybe you can say, hey, and again, we're not talking about fighting. We're professionals here, professional athletes. But look, maybe in the hallway out there, let's talk this out. I don't understand what you're coming from. But, sort of that whole Donovan McNabb situation, like I'm going to walk up to him with my hands behind my back in the middle of the field when I know nobody's going to fight. And I'm going to show the TV cameras like, boy, I'm tough. I'm going to confront this guy. There's better ways to handle that. And you each have each other's phone numbers. Just put it to bed, move on. Or you're the quarterback. You're the national star. You're the guy with the monster money contract. Kelvin Benjamin says, I stink. And all he has to do is say, like, where's the reason we traded that guy away and he's still not here on this football team? You have so many outs that you can just cut him up nationally with. You don't even have to confront that guy. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, by him doing that, it was obvious that he did care. He obviously can't take criticism. I mean, do you think Kelvin Benjamin really cares what Cam Newton thinks? He doesn't think he's a good quarterback. Listen, I've been on record as saying I think he's overrated. I think he had a terrible 2016. I mean, Donnie, let me ask you a question. What's a capable completion? Like, what's a completion percentage you look at and say that's a good NFL completion percentage? Is it 65% to you?
That's elite. Yeah, you want to be, especially in this day and age. Back in the day, 15 years ago, where everybody's throwing deep post patterns, like 55, 60% was an amazing completion percentage, it seemed like now. But you're right. You better be in that 62, 63% range.
Okay, because, back in, what was it, 16, 53%. That was Cam Newton. He's not, the last couple, that 2016 was a mess. Last year he was, I guess, good, But, I guess I get it. He's not Tom Brady. He's a good quarterback. Do you look at him as a great quarterback? I don't think.
He's an upper echelon Pro Bowl quarterback. But if you're asking me, is that pure passer? He does a lot of other things that most quarterbacks can't do. But as a pure passer, no, he's not a top 15 guy, pure passer.
And
no.
I think, when it comes to Kelvin Benjamin, I think that's what he means. Maybe he should have been a bit more specific. I don't think he's a great passer or whatever. First of all, Kelvin's in the wrong here too. Why do we care what you think? Just go on with your new team and settle down. Baker Mayfield with 2 touchdowns had a very good performance, and I'm sure all the people come out of the work. See, we told you, Baker Mayfield, he's a great player. Settle down. It's against backup for the most part. But hey, look, I'll give the kid credit. He played well. He had a great NFL debut. Many calling it one of the best ever performances in a preseason game. Seemed like everything was working last night for Baker and the Browns. Your thoughts, Donnie, on the performance?
Yeah, I didn't watch it live, and the only thing, I haven't caught up on most of these games, but I have been watching the highlights out there. But he did look good because he did the things that you want, Jeff. When the pocket breaks down, he was doing what he did at Oklahoma, right? Stretching the time out there, giving his receivers extra time, throwing a ball where receiver David Njoku, the tight end, can make a catch on a nice touchdown pass, fourth down conversions. If the play is not there, you have some wheels to get out of the pocket, pick up the first down, get out of bounds, keep the chains moving. Impressed with what I saw. I want to see overall like how he did play to play because I didn't get a look at that. But the one thing I do want to say about the Browns, Jeff, is I don't really know if it's the best look where they have helmets that just look like straight pumpkins because they want to earn their stripes on their helmets. I mean, come on, can we be professional here and put some stripes on the helmet so you at least look like an NFL team, not a 7th grade middle school team helmet?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're trying to do something new to spice things up. But listen, here's what's funny though about the Browns. Who's still the starting quarterback though?
TT?
Yeah, like what is Mayfield? Does Mayfield have to have a better performance next week to put him in as quarterback? That's where you have to laugh at, like
They need to
Browns.
put him in, though. Jeff, yes, we're going to argue, right? Not even argue. We're going to be on the same side of this. You drafted him number 1 overall. You thought he was the best player in the draft. Let the kid play. Will you just start him game 1 so he can see what the NFL is all about and work his way through it? Enough with this. We're going to let Tyrod play 5 games because he's the consummate professional. Mayfield is your future. Let him play. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like the kid, but he looked good last night. You got to give him a shot. I mean, look, we'll see. I mean, the NFL is a lot different. Am I still live here? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're here. I got you.
My little box on the side appeared, but yeah. I listen. It was a preseason game. We'll see what happens. But he looked real good doing it last night.
Yeah.
You got to give the kid a little slack and let him go. I mean, that's why you're the Browns. You got to shake things up. If things aren't working, you shake them up. Another Browns piece here. Could Dez Bryant be headed to the Browns? Just what they need, Dez Bryant, because they don't have enough headaches at wide receiver. They never cease to amaze me, this team. It's always something with them. It's always, we're going to try this, we're going to try that. But we're going to accept everybody here. That's what we do. I mean, John Dorsey, Donnie. I mean, we seem to forget Antonio Callaway was arrested 7 times between college and between now. Actually 8 after his little stunt this week. I mean, is that okay though to you? I mean, should he still be able to go out and ball out in the NFL? Because hey,
he's going to get suspended. Exactly, he's going to get suspended. The one thing when you have a good young quarterback, or you think it's going to be a good young quarterback, the number 1 overall pick, you want to have him with guys who are workers, who you can count. It always gets back to accountability, right? With the Browns, who I know I can count on. How about this? Boy, I have a real good reprieve with Callaway. Oh, man, he's going to be out 4 weeks. So there goes that reprieve. Or, man, in the offseason, Josh Gordon was so good in pre-camp and mini camps with us. I can't wait to throw him the well, he's not even going to show up to camp. Oh, man, Dez Bryant's in town. Boy, Dez, I watch you all the time on tape with the Dallas Cowboys. Instead of making my reads, Dez is screaming at me at the huddle to not throw him the ball in triple coverage when he thinks he's open. This is just I'm at a loss for words with what Cleveland is trying to do. Build a foundation with your number 1 overall pick quarterback and move forward. Give him weapons that will be on the field with him for the next couple years, not in and out of the lineup. It's just a disaster in the making, it seems like, where you're just going to stunt the kid's growth because who the hell is he throwing to every week? What? I'm in this week. I'm out this week. I'm suspended this week. I'm going to throw punches at a coach on the sideline, or Baker didn't throw me we scored a touchdown on this drive, but Baker didn't throw me that slant pass because I wanted to throw up the X in the end zone and Njoku caught it instead of me. I'm out of this game. I don't even care anymore. Come on, man.
Yeah, and then you're just going to add in Dez, who I'm sure will just make it more harmonic there throughout the team. So yeah, they're a mess of a team. I mean, they could paper the cracks by winning preseason games, but it doesn't, long term. I mean, you got to wonder. Seems like they're a little desperate. Cam's a straight OG. Yeah, exactly. Brian Lee, Cam's a straight OG. Oh yeah, he looked so tough last night. I got to tell you. I was so concerned. I'm sure Kelvin looked so concerned. The funniest part of that interview, Donnie, was when I don't know who the other guy was. He's like trying to get in the middle of them, and Cam Newton just shoves him off.
Yeah, whose side? Yeah, you know what? Whose side was that?
That was funny. I thought.
Yeah,
I
who
think
was that? Kelvin's boy, or that a Bills guy? And he was just trying to try to intimidate or step in the middle. But everybody was like, I don't know who this guy is over here. And we're just not even going to worry about it while we talk this out.
Calvin Benjamin will beat the brakes off Cam Newton. Get the fuck out of here. Come on, man. What you gonna do? Make a seat in the middle of the field and fight him? Listen, I thought he was. I think he's a
I'm
corner
just glad
hunter.
nobody threw punches. I'm just glad it was what it was. And I doubt that they even play the Bills this year, so we'll never hear about it again. But I'm just glad there wasn't more of a scene out there because it would have been ridiculous to begin with anyway.
Yeah. Uh, let's move on here. Do we have to talk baseball? Is that something we have to do? Is
Yes.
that something that's required?
MLB is Jeff, we can't talk fake soccer league, so we have to talk something, right?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to talk. I want to talk something else. Baseball's fucking whack. God, so lame. Uh, let's move it on. Dodgers. Did they get the win last night? I guess they did.
Yeah.
Dodgers
Doing
8-5.
what
They
they do.
beat the Rockies. A lot of runs. Hit a lot of home runs. What they do out in Colorado. Dodgers big win.
Yeah, and by the way, if you had this game, like let's just say because, two teams coming in, fighting for the playoff race, sitting back, Jeff, entering the seventh inning, like, you know what? 10.5's the over under. Damn good call. Genius out here. Game flies over the total because again, Jeff, something up with that Colorado bullpen, man. I don't know what it is, but we talked about it yesterday. That thin air in Colorado. And the Dodgers, what do they want to do? Just get the ball up into the air and see what happens. It didn't work for 6 innings, Jeff, but you still had a couple innings left to play in Colorado, and they were launching bombs all over the place on that ridiculous Colorado Rockies back into the bullpen. I've said it before, if you're going to take the Colorado Rockies, just stick with the first 5 because for some reason the back end is just absolutely atrocious on that team. But again, if you're in Colorado, you're looking good on that under, and then Colorado Magic, Coors Field Magic takes place late. And if you had the over, congratulations, it's a great feeling. But if you had the under, you had to feel a little bit burned.
No, they stink. The bullpen's a mess. $100 million bullpen. They can't get anyone out. I mean, you got to wonder. I mean, you got to feel bad for them, actually, in a way. I mean, you spend all that money and no one can get anyone out. It's time to crack some skulls over in Colorado. What's going on over there?
Yeah, no, Jeff, talk about bullpens there. That same bullpen in that game. How about one Kenley Jansen, I believe, being sent home, Jeff, for maybe a heart issue that he has. So that's not going to be good news for the Dodgers or Dodger backers going forward.
Yeah, no, that's not good. He's one of the better closers in the league. Justin Verlander didn't have a great night last night. After a article came out about how Kate Upton saved JV's life, you got to feel, you got to respect that.
You might have to save
He
it again, yeah.
had a tough night last night. 2 innings, gives up 6 runs. His ERA goes from 2.19 to 2.5 in just a matter of 2 innings. Not a good night for him. Good night for the Mariners. And what else did the Mariners do? They did something I just talked about, I want to say. What did the Mariners do?
They won easy.
No, I'm talking about in the headlines. I said something about the Mariners. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Cano coming back or something. I don't know.
Oh no, they moved King Felix. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. But nice win for the Mariners last night. They get to Verlander and beat the mighty Mariners, or beat the mighty.
No, Jeff, you move King Felix to the bullpen, right? So what? So does that mean he's trash in the first, second, third, and fourth inning, but miraculously, if you bring him in the 8th in a shutdown situation, he's going to be dominant again? Did I miss something?
No, I don't think you missed anything.
No, that was my only Felix talking.
I didn't know if you had anything more on Houston. They're baseball's baseball.
No, they got to get healthy. Houston just got to get healthy. Just wait it out. I mean, you can't be, Superman all year long, every single game, every single pitcher on every single staff. So you're going to have those bumps in the road. But Correa comes back in the lineup. Now you're ready for Springer to come back. You're ready for Altuve to come back, and then they'll get going. I think they're in that just malaise saying, you know what, we're going to make the playoffs. We won the World Series last year. Let's just get healthy, circle the wagons. Once we get to October, we'll be fine. And I agree with it.
How about the Padres last night? Corey Knebel implodes. 6 runs in the 9th inning for San Diego. They win it 8-4. You don't see this often, and this is something that you don't want to see if you ever have a game late. But Knebel implodes. It's gonna happen once or twice a year. He did it last night. San Diego with a big come from behind 9th inning.
How about that? Yeah, it's one of those things, Jeff. If you're betting the Brewers out there, yeah, you're going to pay a nice little premium. But the one thing you like, Jeff, the Brewers carry a couple run lead after the 5th, 6th, or 7th inning. You feel pretty good about yourself. You don't have that high leverage situations every inning, usually 1st and 2nd. You can't get a strikeout because their bullpen is built for that. And again, Jeff, you weren't going against the Dodgers, the Yankees, maybe the Oakland Athletics, where you're like, you know what? We got to get through this 3-4-5 before we can escape this victory. It was the Padres. And the Padres came back on that bullpen and hammered them. I actually didn't see the score until later on at night and was actually astonished. And so I believe, was it a grand slam in the 9th inning, what you said? It was just an amazing comeback. That's not the team that you expect to score those runs, and certainly not the bullpen you expect to get those runs scored on.
No, I mean, one of the better bullpens in the league. But they've had some question marks lately. Big win for San Diego. San Diego just really, at this point, playing spoiler. Gio Gonzalez, big win yesterday. He was very good. I think he only allowed 1 run over 7 innings. Nationals with a big win over. And this was the problem, Donnie. I can't trust Anibal Sanchez. Just can't do it. I still remember back to what he was last year and the year before. He's not that good a pitcher. He struggled yesterday.
No, he didn't really struggle yesterday, Jeff. He got knocked out of the game with a line drive in the 2nd inning. They were up 1-0. So kudos if you were a Washington backer and saw that coming where Sanchez was going to get knocked out and then the tomato cans would roll in for the Atlanta bullpen. That's always a nice break, Jeff. But us as gamblers, we don't remember when we get those breaks. We only remember when our pitcher goes out in the 2nd inning with a line drive. You know what I mean? But it goes back and forth. Nice break if you had the Washington Nationals, because I know a lot of people, including myself, thinking about taking the Atlanta Braves in that game, stayed away from it, and you caught that bad break. That's a tough one for Atlanta backers. But there is something to be said about, hey, look, you can't just say Anibal Sanchez is going to go out there and throw a shutout. You got to score some runs, especially off Gonzalez in that bullpen of Washington. Atlanta couldn't do that yesterday. They didn't deserve the win.
All right, settle down, chat. There's a lot going on in the chat. Settle down. All right, we got people fighting in here. We got people throwing out that the only person to trust when it comes to free picks is one. But listen, this isn't we're not coming in here and promoting free pick sites and stuff.
I like it, but Jeff, you got to give him credit.
Let's chat about
Mikey's picks says the only person to trust when it comes to notes and free picks is him. So there.
Yeah, settle down, Mikey. If people want to find you, I'm sure they can find you. Tweet yourself, do that sort of thing. As far as the rest of the chat, we got people fighting. Just if you want to fight, go do that.
Yeah, Friday, you got to expect this, though. I mean, you got Major League Baseball, you got PGA Championship, you got WNBA, you got NFL. It's a lot of anger out there in the street.
A lot going on.
Summertime, we're usually talking like, hey, Yankees are on Monday, we can decompress. But now you're getting the juices flowing because once that calendar turns to September, it's anarchy again. It's a beautiful thing. Good job, chat box. Get angry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're fighting about, but they're fighting about something. Who knows what this is all about? Juan White, I trust Ross Benjamin. Okay. I haven't seen Ross in a while. Where's he been? Where's Paulie Provenzano been? I haven't seen him.
By the way, Jeff, quick little IFBC point here. Like, it's hard. Like, I know a couple people reached out to me. I'm trying to see, like, it just feels like, I don't know, let's just say 100 people have tickets to this, but 75,000 people are attending this thing because I'm seeing tweets fly left and right. Can't wait to see it at IPC. You're like, I want to say, like, are you even going, or how are you getting there, or are you just going to sneak in? I mean, this seems like one of those things, Jeff, where, you say, like, I was at that Eagles game in 1985, but 3 million people will say they were there, even though only 45,000 actually attended the game. It feels like that. It's a lot of anticipation here, Jeff, and I don't know who's coming from where.
Yeah, I have no idea who's coming from a listener perspective. I know who I'm going to be around, and I know who's going to be around there as far as the people at SPR and different speakers and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little unsure of who's coming. No one. I know people have hit me up and said they're coming, but I don't know specifically, from this chat who's coming. But
it's it. By the way, Jeff, it seems like either me or you are tied into about 7 or 8 steak dinners that take place over 1 or 2 days. So I don't know what's going to take place out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to eat enough steak. I might have to. We might have to go somewhere else. Because I've had 3 or 4 different people say that I'm going to steak dinner with them. So
yes.
I don't know. We might have to hit up, sushi maybe one night or something instead. Exactly.
I know one guy who's buying the steaks out there. He's lurking in the chat box right now. So one guy's buying.
Oh, is he?
So
okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Well, Touts McGee, hit it on the head. Settle down, chat. Everybody play nice here. Play nice. Touts McGee will be at IFBC. Great. Good to see you.
There you
Hopefully,
go. All right.
hopefully you come out and say hello. Um, Dave Danders only trusts Jimmy the Bag. Okay. Congratulations to you on that one. Donnie and Doug Upson should do a show occasionally. I agree with that. Doug Upson's actually good NFL handicapper. Right? That's a good point.
I love
Actually,
NFL. Yeah. Why isn't he on the panel
Doug,
then? Isn't he through SBR? Like, what are we doing here?
I don't know. I haven't seen Doug a lot this year. I think he might only do
Uh,
NFL for SBR. I don't think he does baseball or anything, but he's a good handicapper. Him, Joe Duffy, a lot of those guys that have been on for a
Will
while.
Joe Duffy be
Uh,
in town? Yeah, we might get a lot of surprises out there or non-surprises.
well, if he's not in town, I could always just impersonate Joe Duffy. But
True.
let's get into today's MLB. Donnie, what do we have on the card?
Yeah, today's MLB. Let's bring up a couple games here, Jeff. We will start first with those Nats and Cubs. Early afternoon special, Jeff. Kick your Friday off the right way, 9:51, 9:52. Hellickson and Hendricks on the mound. 61% are going to back the Chicago Cubs in this one. Jeff opened up at about 145. Sitting that same range, Chris, at 149. Intertops 145. Five dimes 143. Over under. How about this, Jeff? Wind must be blowing in out there in the Windy City because that's an 8.5, which is a rarity out there. I mean, it's not like Chris Sale's going up against Max Scherzer in Wrigley Field. So Hendricks and Hellickson. I'm just not a Hellickson guy, just smoke and mirrors out there. Do I love Kyle Hendricks? No. But sometimes you just say, you know what? It's a home team. I didn't do too much research into this game, but I would lean on Cubs in this situation. Yeah, the Nationals get a win yesterday. Is Harper going to be back in the lineup? Was not in the lineup yesterday. Obviously, we saw Kelvin Herrera now to the DL, so that bullpen's a little bit light. And, I don't have much on this game, but if I was going to take it, you know what, Donnie, you got to take a side here. Give me the home team Cubs. Why not?
Yeah, I would lean that way too. A rematch of the playoff series last year between these two. I'm not in love with Hendricks either, but I trust him a little bit more than I trust Hellickson. At least he could throw a couple different pitches. Hellickson seems pretty standard on what he's going to throw. Cubs are at home. I don't trust the Nats on the road. Nats only hitting 237 away from Washington. Just a team that struggles way too much on offense. This is a bit high of a number for me to lay with the Cubs, but look, the Cubs are 35-21 at home. I think Hendricks will be good enough here. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I would lean Cubs as well.
Braves Brewers, Jeff, 9:57, 9:58, 7:35 p.m. Eastern time start. Freddie Peralta going to go against Kevin Gausman. About a 50-50 ticket split here, which is pretty nice. And also, Jeff, looking at a 50-50 ticket split, how about this? Line opens up 105, 110, depending where you're shopping at. Staying around those levels, minus 105, a pick either way. So we're anticipating a good baseball game in this one. Let me see if we can find some Freddie Peralta. Or there we go. Gausman on the year, Jeff. ERA 4.47 and a 4.19 Sierra. So about the same there. Same thing with Peralta. A little bit better ERA, Jeff. 3.54, a 3.71 Sierra on the season. So two decent pitchers coming this one. But I think we can say, who's going to get hot at the plate? Not a nice game yesterday for the Atlanta Braves. And obviously, we saw how the Brewers ended their game. But it just seems like, Jeff, what's funny? Where you wait for a Brewers lineup, do you really technically have to wait on their lineup? Because they're 1 through 8, it seems like, Jeff, no matter who they put in there is a damn good lineup. Like, you want to look at Atlanta, say, is Albies in? Is Acuna in the game? Is Freddie Freeman in the game? I want to see who's in there. It seems like it doesn't matter who Milwaukee puts out there. It always looks, at least on paper, like a good lineup.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, both pitchers have been struggling a bit. Both teams are obviously playing well. I don't think there's a lot of ways to really, decipher these two teams. It's hard to pick. It's literally a toss-up. This is a tough game, Donnie. I have no interest in betting this one. You're really just coin flipping. When I bet a game, and I think when you bet a game, I think the goal is to find a reason, have an interest in a way. There's kind of an edge. I don't see any edge here. I just don't. I see two pitchers that are, the slightest of edge I'd give them Milwaukee just because I think Peralta's a bit better than a Gausman at this point, but you're really cutting it with a knife. There's not a lot here to really have an edge on. I would pass on this.
Yeah, I haven't taken too many totals since about a month and a half ago, but I have dipped in a little bit, Jeff, because sometimes you're trying to find a little bit of an angle there as opposed to paying for favorites or, getting an underdog that doesn't care if they win the game. Interesting one here, Jeff, 977, 978 battle of California. It seems like the Oakland Athletics and the Angels of Anaheim. Anderson's going to go against Pena. To me, two rough pitchers out there. If we're looking overall at some numbers, 63% of the tickets, Jeff, coming in on the road team here with Oakland, 115, 116 across the board. But if we're taking a look at when numbers make sense here, Jeff, Pena on the season, an ERA close to 5, a Sierra 4.38. With the Sierra number, Jeff, anything over 4.5 is absolute disaster. If we take a look at Anderson, Jeff, a 4.64 ERA and a 4.84 Sierra on the season. Over-unders 8.5. Yeah, it is a pitcher's ballpark. I get it out there. And tending on the year, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim not really too keen on hitting left-handed pitchers. They did rake the last one they saw. But I'm thinking a little bit over the number in this one, even though, Jeff, talking about, we'll get to in a little, the A's bullpen bolstered again with Fernando Rodney. They're getting a ton of arms on the back end to match up situationally. I love what they're doing there. So maybe it calms down the scoring in the second half, but you should be able to eat off of both of these pitchers here.
Yeah, I mean, the Angels have been scoring runs lately. I mean, you look at the last 3 games, I mean, they've scored 23 runs. So, I mean, they're putting runs on the board, having some nice outputs at the plate. The concern I have for the Angels here is, can they hit lefties? I mean, they've struggled all year hitting lefties, 12 and 21 against left-handed starters, only hitting 231. Without Mike Trout in that lineup, it's not a very sexy lineup, frankly. I mean, there's a lot of Cole Calhoun's had a bad year. There's guys that are not really producing at all in that lineup. I think Oakland, I think they have the edge here. I think Brett Anderson, you look at him lately, I mean, he's been pretty good, actually. You mentioned the bullpen moves. Yeah, I mean, the Angels have just kind of faltered. They've just kind of went away. I would lean at this price to Oakland. I trust Anderson a little bit more. I don't necessarily like the Angels against a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, got some interesting lines up there. We'll move it on to football in just a moment. That Tampa Bay game, I mean, you're looking just at Snell on the mound versus Estrada, who's been terrible this year. But then again, you have one of those interesting moves, Jeff, minus 125, minus 130, now down to about minus 110. So you got a couple of those games going on there. How the Phillies bounce back. Knicks is on the mound for San Diego. Eflin on the mound for the Phillies. And that one, they opened up at about 140, staying around that same range. So some interesting games that we could take a look at, Jeff. But looks like the over trend in both preseason football and MLB yesterday was the train that hit. So if you're an overbacker yesterday, pretty much couldn't miss.
Well, between MLB and NFL, 17-3-1 to the over last night. So over,
good for that.
Over tickets are cashing in. Books definitely got crushed. Listen, before we get into a little football, I do want to get into a little bit of traditional football. Today at 3:00, I've had literally Donnie. I'm not kidding. I've had 50 people ask me when the Premier League punter show is this week. It'll be today at 3:00. We'll be taking a look at all the games. 3:00 Eastern. Flash, me, and Natalie. And I'm sure a lot of people are saying, well, big man, what are we going to do, though? Leicester, Man United starts before then. We're just not going to be betting that one. That's a tough game to handicap. I want to lean Leicester +1, but until I see some lineups, I can't really do anything. United has a team that I think could be a lot of people out. Pogba probably out. I mean, there's a lot of animosity going on with that team. Who's going to play for Leicester? Who's fit there? There could be a lot of people out of this game. So I'll probably pass on it. If I had to lean, I would take a small shot with Leicester, but I got to see their lineup before I do anything. So yeah, we'll be back at 3:00 to talk Premier League football. We'll go over all the games. Donnie, let's get into NFL. We have our continued travel through the NFL, taking a look at schedules, depth charts, where we think these teams are going to finish this year. It's time for the Green Bay Packers, and a team that I think can win the NFC. I think they can get right to the Super Bowl. I think they're a talented team, but there are some question marks. Obviously, listen, anytime you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, you would imagine you're going to have a pretty good season. I mean, if he can obviously be in there and be healthy, he's arguably the best quarterback in the league other than Tom Brady. He's that talented. You went out and improved the offensive line a bit. You have a little depth there all of a sudden. Question mark, I think, comes at the skill positions. I mean, Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb, solid receivers. There's not a ton of depth. I think Geronimo Allison's a pretty good player. I think he could turn into a pretty good receiver. You look at the run game. I mean, is this run game good enough? Is Jamal Williams out of BYU, Aaron Jones out of UTEP, and Ty Montgomery, is that enough? I think Aaron Jones is a good player. I like what he did at UTEP. I thought he was a terrific running back. Thought he had some stretches last year where he looked really good. On the surface, Donnie, this offense with Rodgers, it's always dynamic, but there are some question marks on, is there a high-level star on this offense?
No, and you're right. I mean, it's almost like, Jeff, we're going to look at the schedule in just a few moments. It's a tale of two schedules and a tale of two sides of the team, offensively and defensively, that we like to look at the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, you start with Aaron Rodgers. You don't have to have the most dominant wide receivers in the world, because what did we see, Jeff? When Jordy Nelson is paired up without Aaron Rodgers, a pedestrian wide receiver, when paired with Aaron Rodgers, an elite receiver. That's going to happen when a quarterback that can throw a football on a string and put it wherever you are. If you have a half of a step, he's going to put it right on your numbers and make you look good and throw at the spots to throw you open. I love the fact they actually got a real tight end out there in Green Bay. Now you're going to have Jimmy Graham seem to be reincarnated this year as a red zone threat, which is nice. And the running game, Jeff, I think it's going to open up. You're right. They do have a lot of young backs, but a lot of young talented backs. It's a lot easier to run, Jeff, when Aaron Rodgers is back there and you have to continually stay in nickel and dime formations to try to combat him. That should open up running games. If we look at the defense, though, Jeff, I like the fact in the draft they addressed the secondary. Can't have enough good corners, and sooner or later one of those guys is going to work out and be a pretty good football player for you. But then again, you're looking at the Clay Matthewses of the world. A lot of tread on those tires. You lean on him a lot, banged up for most of his career at this point, as he's seeing some later and later years. Hard to stay healthy in the NFL, especially when you play a collision sport in a collision position like he plays each and every week. But from the overall offensive standpoint, Jeff, I think they're going to be fine. But again, when you have an offense that's as good as the Green Bay Packers, you're going to have most teams coming back and playing from behind, so you can get away with a subpar defense. We saw it a couple years ago with the Cowboys, Jeff. So good on offense, so good at keeping the ball away, so good at running the ball that it didn't matter how bad their defense was because they weren't on the field that much.
Yeah, I think the run game is going to surprise people. I think Aaron Jones is a good player. Ty Montgomery, kind of that scat back. Jimmy Graham will be obviously a nice little valve for Rodgers across the middle. I think they'll be fine as well. And that's why, for me, when you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, you can do things and stay in games that other teams can't. That's just how good he is. I think defensively, I think they're going to be really good. I think they're much improved on that side of the football. The question is now, can they put it all together and be good? They've struggled against the pass for seemingly few years now. Donnie, how long has it seemed like they have struggled to get stops on the defensive end? You look at all of a sudden, you have a pretty good 3-down linemen with Wilkerson, Clark, and Daniels. You mentioned Matthews getting a bit older. You lose Jake Ryan for injury. That sucks. That leaves a void there at inside linebacker. But Blake Martinez and Nick Perry have done some good things. I think the secondary is going to be good. I mean, Clinton Dix, you get him from Alabama a few years ago. You went out and got Kevin King and Josh Jones and Jair Alexander this year. You all of a sudden have some real good cornerbacks in that depth chart. Josh Jackson as well out of Iowa. There's a lot. This is a cornerback from college dream team, Donnie. The question is, can they translate to the NFL and be high-level players? They made some wholesale changes on the defensive end. We'll think it can pay off. I think they improved significantly on the defensive end. Wilkerson's a nice add as well. You look at their schedule. All right, we start out with their schedule here. They start out the season against the Bears at home, though. Winnable game there. Then you basically start the season with 2 divisional games. You don't see that too often. Then they head into Washington. They get the Bills, the Lions, and the Niners. That's a bit of a tough stretch there. Obviously, Niners a bit better. We know the Lions are always tough. Got to go to LA at one point. Obviously, have to play the Falcons and the 2 games against the Vikings. What are your overall thoughts of the Green Bay Packers? We know they're a playoff team. Are they a deep playoff team?
They're a playoff team, and anytime you have Aaron Rodgers and he's healthy, you're going to be a playoff team and usually a deep playoff team. The one thing that's really interesting about this schedule, Jeff, they're going to start hot. Green Bay is going to start electric. You got Chicago at home. Now, Minnesota is a tough one, but you're going to get them in Green Bay. You're going to get them outside on the grass as opposed to turf. You should be able to win that game at Washington, Buffalo at Detroit, San Francisco at home. Then you get the bye week, and it's an amazing schedule coming out of the bye, Jeff. At Los Angeles, at New England, you're going to get Miami at home, but then you go to at Seattle on a Thursday night, which is not a tough trip there. You don't have much time to prepare, and obviously Seattle's still going to be a tough place to play at home. Irrelevant what they actually put out there, that crowd's going to be a force. You're going to have Russell Wilson, and once again, being on that short week. Then you go to at Minnesota, but I do like the way it finishes up, Jeff. At Chicago, at the Jets, home to Detroit. So if you can get out hot, hold on during that mid-schedule, I can see 10 to 11 wins here for the Green Bay Packers. I actually myself, Jeff, still think Minnesota overall as a team is built to beat the Green Bay Packers. And I think they can do it and win that division. But anytime you have Aaron Rodgers and a healthy Aaron Rodgers, which it seems like, you don't get that so much anymore, and you don't get a healthy offensive line from the Green Bay Packers, I still think they can contend for that division. It's going to come down to the end. Still give that slight nod, though, Jeff, to the Vikings, just because I love that Vikings defense, and it's built to stop the Green Bay Packers.
I'm disagreeing. Give me A-Rod any day of the week, Donnie. Give me A-Rod. Aaron Rodgers. I think they can win the Super Bowl, the Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to be really good on both sides of the ball. I think that Minnesota game be a low-scoring, knockdown, drag-out NFC North tilt, 16-13 type of games. I think both defenses are good. Obviously, the Vikings are a better defense, but I think Green Bay is going to surprise people. They have a young defense, but I think they're well improved this year. I'll say 11-5 for Green Bay. I think they get to the NFC Championship. I think they'll be in the mix.
Good thing about the Green Bay Packers, Jeff, when you're leaning on a defense, which, if you think they're going to be good or somebody thinks they're going to be bad, the less time you're out there trying to get a stop, the better you are. We all know, Jeff, Green Bay is going to score. There's no question about that. It's a lot easier, Jeff, in the fourth quarter when you're up 28-21 or something in that range than down, because the other team's throwing, not going to grind the clock. You're not winded out there. You don't have to be like, oh my God, we got to go 3 straight 3-and-outs on defense to give our offense a chance without Aaron Rodgers. It's nice to have an offense that's going to roll up and down the field, because your defense says, whoo, all we need is a couple stops, folks, not every stop.
Interesting, Donnie, coaching move. I want to get your thoughts on this quickly. An old friend returned to the offense, Joe Philbin, who was on the coaching staff in 2003. They had a great season when he was there. They went to the Super Bowl. But Joe has widely been a failure around the league. He comes back to head this offense. Any thoughts on that? Philbin's been mostly a failure in this league. Miami was a mess. Colts he didn't do well at. Your thoughts on Philbin?
Yeah, I thought he came off as an absolute idiot on Hard Knocks, which I guess allows you to get really in-depth details about the organization and what, coaches really are. But Larry Coker's long-lost twin out there. I'm not a big fan of Philbin, but, he circles back to Green Bay. I'm not a huge fan of Mike McCarthy as the overall, guy in charge, because we can always argue. If you took, Aaron Rodgers away from Mike McCarthy, he probably only coached maybe 1 or 2 years in the National Football League as a head football coach. But, hey, he has Aaron Rodgers, so you can't take it away from him. I don't know what Philbin's going to actually bring other than familiarity. I've been here before. This is my offense. He's not going to call the plays. So, it's one of those good old boy networks like, hey, Joe, know you a lot, man. You're not going to ruffle any feathers. Come on, be the O coordinator. So I don't think too much of it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of either of those coaches. What else do we have here? Let's get into the off topic. We have a little bit of time to get into this.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting stories going on today. We started out, Donnie, this story wasn't on the off topic, but I'm going to throw it in.
Yes.
Wake Forest, weird story out of
I saw
Wake.
that.
Assistant coach is being basically accused and charged with assault. Now, they say that the charges could be upgraded after basically he allegedly punched someone in the face following a confrontation Sunday after the guy knocked on this guy's window thinking the car was his Uber. He lost consciousness when his head hit the pavement. He was brought to an area hospital in critical condition, fracturing bones in the left side of his face, his skull, and his brain was bleeding. He was taken off life support Tuesday afternoon. This is and I want to make this clear. This is a call to every man in America that wants to fight everybody, wants to be king shit at every party and be a tough guy. This is what happens when you want to be a fucking tough guy too much. You hit someone the wrong spot and they fall down and knock their head and they die. That's on you. It's not on anybody else. You want to help your boy. I get you want to help your boys. And listen, I'm not going to tell anyone that if someone fucks with your sister, your mother, you shouldn't do something about it. But this is a sad story, man. I mean, I know some people have short fuses, and I'm not going to say I haven't had one at point, but this guy asks us for, if it's an Uber, you get out and beat the hell out of him. I'm not sure why this isn't. I mean, I know it wasn't premeditated, but this could be some kind of upgraded charge, Donnie. Maybe some kind of manslaughter or something like that. And the guy died because of his actions.
Yeah, no, you don't get a murder one from that rap because there's, you didn't premeditate it and say, I'm
No,
going to
there's no
go out, I'm going to
premeditation.
make, yeah, exactly. I'm going to text because I'm going to beat up a guy and I make sure he dies. But you're right. You can't do that, man. Because, and again, how many times have you been? I mean, I've been through high school and college. I've seen fights, Jeff, in like club situations or just, one-on-one or outside the locker room, whatever it is. It doesn't matter if even the other guy comes up and throws the first punch. If you annihilate the guy, you're going away for assault anyway. And if something happens to the guy, you don't expect, hey, I'm going to throw a punch. I'm going to land it so flush, he's going to go down and hopefully just stays down. But you never know where you're right. Hits his head on the concrete, goes into a seizure. You're liable for that, man. You're not fighting in 5th and 6th grade anymore where, you're throwing little pillow puff, jabs at people. You can really do damage out this. And it's a shame that it comes to that. Who knows the situation? Did he just get off the phone where he was angry with his girlfriend, his wife, his mom, or a family member and took it out on somebody else? Just a poor, poor look. And you ruin a couple lives and a couple families at the same time.
Yeah, sad story. The guy, according to relatives, was super friendly, very smart businessman. He owned or he was part of a media company, marketing company. Had a bright smile. Very, very sad story. You never like to see stuff like this. Jamil Jones. Listen, I'm not sure how this is misdemeanor assault. I would imagine these charges get upgraded a bit here. Very, very sad story out of Wake Forest. I'd imagine we won't see him again on the sidelines. Danny Manning, a guy that runs his program the right way, you won't be seeing this guy again. Sad story. We also move on to PGA Championship.
Yeah.
Interesting PGA Championship. Gary Woodland has been terrific. In his first round of golf, he was very good. Dustin Johnson had a good start. Tiger back at 48th. He started the day at evens. Got to agree, Donnie. Woodland played well yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool golf course, and it's a huge field, and boy, is it a talented field out there. The one thing I like about majors is I love the leaderboard because you always want a nice leaderboard heading into Saturday and Sunday. You got out there, Zach Johnson, who's an oldie but goodie, I like to say, moving up the charts. Ricky Fowler, who I'm rooting for, Jeff, was 5 under, had the lead yesterday, but I mean, didn't slip back. It was an amazing round by the other guy to go up 6 for Gary Woodland, but he's going to take a lot of these guys just starting to filter through the golf course out there. Ian Poulter with a nice round yesterday. Pat Perez, Jeff, one of the guys I know you like out there, sitting at -3. But, nice stuff all the way through. Tiger Woods, I mean, started out +3, so say what you want. At least he got back to even par, but he hasn't taken the golf course yet, sitting in 52nd place right now. So he's pretty much cooked for the weekend, or hopefully he makes it to the weekend. And some people have some energy for me in the DMs, like Tiger Woods coming back at this point. So
All right,
he can
Donnie,
make a
let's talk
run today.
about.
He needs to get 3 or 4
Oh,
under at this point,
we get it. You don't like Woods. Let's talk about who's winning.
I talk
Not
facts,
Tiger.
man. I talk facts. He's in 50th place. He's probably the third favorite overall again in this PGA tournament, sitting in 50th place, heading into the second round. That's what it is. Look, Jeff, again, it's just a PSA out there. Look, if I can do anything for you people out there, when you see Tiger Woods on a leaderboard, when you see Tiger Woods, odds up there, add it unless they add an extra 0 for you. Don't take it. 15 to 1 should be 150 to 1. 1,500 to 1 should be 15,000 to 1 on Tiger Woods. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say.
Kevin Kisner leading now, and I'll tell you what, Molinari looks good. He is moving up the leaderboard. He is at -5, hottest golfer in the world, one of the hottest golfers in the world, playing well in this tournament.
Get the hell
We'll see
in.
what happens. Long way to go. Yes, a long way to go. Good thing is, Donnie. Who do I have? I have Rory, who he needs to improve. He's not playing
Bubba was
well.
even par. See what Bubba has today
Yeah,
for you. So you had that.
yeah. I need Bubba to have a big round today. I have
Yeah.
Fleetwood. He's not had a great week so far. I need a lot of these guys to up their game here a little bit. I do have
Yeah,
Dustin
projected
Johnson.
early cut, Jeff, +1. So it looks, I mean, that's going to change a lot during the day, but looks like that cut line sitting at +1 right now. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I need to make a move here. Some of these guys, but a lot of the big names up front. I mean, Ricky Fowler, Adam Scott. A lot of these guys up front.
Yeah, get the big boys
Jason
up there.
Day.
Yep.
We'll see what happens. Another interesting story out of golf, the Fleetwood story. According
Yes,
to
yes.
a story out of, I guess Tommy Fleetwood won 150K in an event,
Hmm?
and
Yep.
the bank sent the money to the wrong Tom Fleetwood. I guess there's another
Yep.
guy in golf named Tom
Hmm.
Fleetwood, and I heard all these people saying, "What would you do with the money if that was you?" I wouldn't do fucking anything because I'm going to go to jail if I spend the money. It's not my money. Donnie, I remember when I worked at the bank. I remember this happened to somebody in the bank that was a customer. They got like 30,000 bucks in their bank account, and they all the time carried literally a balance of like $6. And it's like
Right.
they go out and start spending the money. Well, they got arrested for it. It's not your money. It's a mistake made by the bank. Just because they make a mistake doesn't mean you have carte blanche. Well, we made a mistake. Can't do anything about it now. I mean, mistakes happen. Keynotes get hit the wrong way. Um, is it cool to see it for a little bit? Yes, but it's not your money. You can't do anything with it. All those stories of, oh, you can go out and spend it and buy a new car. Yeah, it's not going to happen. That money will be out of there quick. And you're not going to be able to go to the
No,
bank
you're
and
yeah.
withdraw. Yeah, not in cash. It's going to happen.
No, it's pretty funny. The guy's name is Tom Fleetwood, and he is a tour pro. I don't think he plays on the actual tour, but you can be a club pro at that point. Which the PGA has a lot of club pros that play in the events there, so you can technically be a PGA professional, even though you're not on the tour itself. But just kind of funny where you wake up one day, you spend $100 at Wawa, you spend $100 here or there, and all of a sudden say, let me check my balance. I probably have about $1,000 or so in there. Oh, look, I got $157,000 in it. Yeah. Good luck spending that. I mean, we've all had those stuff probably, out there in the mainstream with the bank I used a couple years ago. There was a mysterious $650 placed into my account, which I called that day and said, look, I don't know where this check came from. It says it's out of Delaware. I don't think it's mine. I'm like, no, it's yours. It's yours. It was signed into your bank account. Well, lo and behold, I didn't spend the money, but I did alert them. And 9 months later, Jeff, on like a random Tuesday morning, I had $650 taken out of my account by the bank, and I got a little bit of a chuckle where somebody woke up with a ledger and said, hey, this guy paid rent back in February. It's not there. Oh, look, we'll go to the bank. Yeah, placed in the wrong account. Sorry.
And they just take it out.
Just take it right out
Banks
from
are
me. Yeah. Yep.
banks are ruthless, man.
Yep. I don't care.
They really are. But yeah. So to that guy, I don't think he spent any of the money. It was just an interesting story,
No.
nonetheless. We'll wrap it up a couple minutes early today. Obviously, a fun show. We always have fun on this show. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock a.m. talking baseball. Donnie and I. Also, keep in mind, like I said, today, 3 o'clock, Premier League is back. We'll review that. Donnie, any expectations this year in the Premier League world?
No, I'm going to reach out, Jeff. I think this is the year that Leicester City can do it again. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, no, not a terrible pick. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think they're in the top half of the table. So interesting. Donnie, I think a team that you would be interested in. I think Wolverhampton Wanderers would be a good team for you. Any interest
Are
in
they in the
Wolves?
Premier League? Are they in the Premier League?
They are. They are. They're newly
Ooh,
promoted.
okay.
Wolverhampton Wanderers. So yeah, that could be maybe your new team. Your team QPR. They're not in this league. Or, no.
When are they ever going to
All
show
right.
back up in the EPL, Jeff? What are we
No,
doing over there
I
at QPR?
I actually have them I actually have them going down this year back to the down to the third level. So I think they're going to fall back from the championship. But yeah, that's all the soccer we have for today. Donnie, not a big soccer guy, as you can see. He thinks Leicester's going to win the Premier League. Everyone have a great night. Thanks for checking us out. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back tomorrow and again on Monday. Enjoy your day. We'll see you at 3 at Premier League. Bye bye.